welcome to episode 28 of the Comic Boot. I'm Kalen.
I'm Cody.
I'm James.
Alright, picking up where we left off on Tuesday, we're discussing the big controversy that is Batman vs. Superman.
No controversy, it's the best
Dawn of Justice.
Dawn of Justice.
Terrible subtitle, I'm sorry.
I got the point across.
I don't know, I didn't care for it. I don't feel like it really needed it. It could have just been Batman v Superman.
But it was more than that.
I mean, it was, but that was the main premise of the movie, was Batman was going to fight Superman.
And they did.
Yeah, I'm not saying they didn't.
But what else came of that?
The idea of the Justice League, which is...
The Dawn of Justice?
I didn't say the title didn't make sense. I said I didn't like the subtitle.
What? Alright. So the next thing I have here, we've already talked about, it was the bomb at the Capitol and all that stuff, and then all of a sudden he's responsible for all that. Superman, that is. The balcony scene, Lois tells him it's a setup. Boom, boom, boom. Lex in the ship sets up. Lex in the ship. What the fuck are we talking about? Oh,
Right,
where
like Doomsday?
Yeah, because I mean, okay, so look at it this way. This was kind of my point here. Most movies have acts. It's a first act where it sets it up, second act where everything comes together, and a third act where we have a climax. This movie has two separate climaxes, maybe? Kind of the way I would look at it.
Okay.
The first climax would be when Finch and the Senate hearing explode, when Lex kills them all.
Yeah.
And the second climax being the Doomsday fight at the end, when, spoiler alert, Superman dies.
Yeah.
And I say that because I think that you could have split this into two movies, two very short movies, like 90-minute movies. And you could have had the first one be, Superman 1 or Man of Steel 2, where Lex sets up Superman to be this bad guy. And then you could have had Man of Steel 3 or Batman vs. Superman, where Batman officially fights Superman. You could have had an hour-and-a-half fight scene where it's Batman vs. Superman and then Doomsday comes out. But what he's doing, what Lex has effectively done inside the ship is he set up the entirety of every single Justice League movie moving forward by ringing the bell.
Yeah.
Whether he meant to or not, the bell has been rung, and it can't be unrung, as he puts it through his snot acting.
Yes.
So
got a little dribble down that nostril there, buddy.
he's so good, though, man. I don't know why everybody hates him. I love it. But I'm a biased bastard. But whatever. What did I say to you? How do I watch a perfect movie whenever I'm so biased?
I don't know.
Yeah, I can't. It's just that good. Another thing that people have a problem with are the files that get decrypted.
Yeah.
And there's exactly 4 of them. They're conveniently logoed.
Yeah.
So the only one that doesn't make sense is fucking cyborgs. But it makes sense because we don't get to see all of the video. This is the problem they have with it, is why would Lex or whoever came out, Lex's department who is pulling all these files and getting all these files together, why would they come up with certain logos for these people? And it's very easy. Because in Wonder Woman's outfit, you see a W.
Over her breasts.
Yes, with an eagle.
Yeah.
With the Flash, what does Flash spit from his fucking body whenever he goes into the Speed Force? Lightning. What is all over Aquaman's armor and tattoos? That symbol, that kind of the A sort of, without the middle piece. It's kind of an arrow. It's a scale. Yeah, it's like an arrowhead almost.
We don't really see much of Aquaman's armor because he's shirtless.
But his tattoos, which they incorporated his real tattoos on his forearm, Jason Momoa, into the armor, and then he has on his gauntlets, which you can see a little bit. But the only thing that doesn't make any sense is the cyborg, which is the C with the red dot.
Yeah.
But if you look in the video itself, you see the red eye coming forward a little bit while he's screaming, and then the mother box is kind of shaping him into who Cyborg will be.
Yes.
Before the camera cuts and before his dad turns off the video.
Yeah.
So you kind of see that, but that's the only one that really doesn't make any sense. So people throw a fit about the logos, like, Good thing he labeled them all and put logos with them. You know, Lex created the Justice League and all this shit. And he kind of did, out of necessity. Because Batman knows that something is coming because he's had the flashbacks or the flash forwards and the Barry visited
He had
them
those weird, like, nightmare sequences where...
Nightmares spelled with a K, don't forget.
Yeah. And, it was like this alternate future where Superman does become evil.
Mm-hmm.
And if you notice, in the bay between Gotham and Metropolis, there is a giant Omega symbol, which is indicative of Darkseid.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like Darkseid has come. Superman is now one of Darkseid's
Well, parademons are flying in.
Oh, yeah, parademons are all over the place. So, and that's the future he was being shown by Flash.
Yes.
Who had come back from the future, who said, you were right about him.
Right about who?
Superman. Well, it's implied it's Superman. Oh, it is.
No,
it is. Because
no,
he
it's
says,
not.
Yes, because he says, it's Lois, she's
he says,
the key.
you were right about him after he says that. I actually wrote this down. Okay, so that whole scene, he says... It's on my phone. Hold on.
Way to be prepared.
Hey, I took notes. What did you take?
A trip to the police station.
I know, yeah, too. Somebody stole something from Kalen that was very near and dear to his heart.
It's a license plate.
Yeah, it's double-ended. Is that what you're calling it now?
What?
A license plate?
He made a dick reference.
Okay. It's Lois Lane, she's the key, is what he says.
Uh-huh.
After that, he goes, you were right about him. You were always right about him.
Uh-huh.
Okay. You can look at that a couple of different ways. You can look at that as Flash coming from that future and saying that
he's dangerous.
He's dangerous. Or you can look at that as him talking about Lex. Because Bruce has always had those suspicions. Otherwise, why would he be in Lex's library, tapping his hard drive for this encrypted information about the White Portuguese?
Because he knows that the White Portuguese... I mean, that took place...
It's about kryptonite, but
right,
he knows that something's fishy about Lex.
It took place... Yeah, because why would a guy be trying to smuggle in kryptonite? And that all took place after the big car chase scene. Didn't it?
No. That's how he finds out that the White Portuguese is unloading the kryptonite. Because he decrypts all that shit.
Right.
And he gets the files.
So what led him to Lex? Was it the phone?
He's always known
that Lex was fishy.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's KGB's phone also.
Right. Yeah. I was like, well, because being a detective, you have to follow the clues.
But you've always been right about him. It's a different way to think about it.
It is. I don't think
You think it's Superman because that's the easy answer. Because
he says the Lois Lane bit first.
Right. And you're automatically thinking in that line that it's Superman. But I would like to press your brain to think about it maybe a different way.
But what if it is in a different way? What if it is Superman?
Well, if you think about...
You can't say it's one way or the other.
Do you think that we're going to find out at some point?
You could look at it as this is Flash coming from that dystopian Omega field future.
What if Lois Lane is the key to defeating Superman in that future? As in, Superman stops what he's doing anytime
the whole
Lois
Flash scene is
hold on,
pointless.
because Superman says...
No, in regards
she was
to the
my
line,
world.
Lois Lane is the key.
Yeah.
That's the line I'm talking about. I'm not talking about the line after that.
But...
That line
she was my world and you took her from me, is what he said.
Yes.
In that future.
And
she
then
was my world.
Flash says she's the key.
Lois is the key.
So what if it's not that
It's Lois, she's the key. You're right about him. You were always right about him.
Mm-hmm. After he just saw a vision of Superman saying, she was my world, and then ripping out Batman's heart with his bare hand.
Right, but you don't know if he's talking about his mom or Lois.
Well, see, that just sounds like bad writing.
That doesn't sound like bad writing. It sounds like make you think writing. It's not easy writing.
But then who's he talking about?
That's the point.
Will we ever know?
Will you? We didn't have all the answers to the Matrix after the first Matrix.
No, and then you saw how that happened.
I love the Matrix. I loved all three of them.
Right, but you've also said, I don't know how many times, I love shitty movies.
The first one's not shitty.
No, the first one's amazing.
And the second one's not shitty either.
That's true.
But people have issues with the ones afterwards.
Why? Because he goes blind, but he is not blind in the Matrix. What does it fucking matter?
No, I don't. That's not a reason. I have no fucking clue what.
I don't know what their
people's
problem
issues
is. They don't want to see dancing, happy people in the center of the earth.
What? Oh, right.
Zion. When you see Zion. But that's beside the point. No, I think my interpretation of this is that he's talking about Lex. That Lex is the key. Lex caused Doomsday. Lex indirectly rang the bell. And now we're headed towards that kind of future. Possibly. Even with saving Martha and saving Lois. That Lex is the key. That's how I took it. You were right about him, you were always right about him.
And you think he's talking about Lex Luthor?
Yeah. Unless we're going to see evil Superman, which I don't think we're going to see.
Well, who knows?
Who knows? I mean, we may.
We're only 3 movies into this thing.
Superman may wake up and go, fuck y'all.
Maybe. Or maybe it's a Superman clone, like in the original comic book.
Yeah, I hope not, man.
I hope not either. That'd be too convoluted.
Yeah.
And then original Superman shows up in the black kryptonite suit with a kryptonite cannon gun.
No. With a mullet.
Yep, he's got the mullet.
Gotta have a mullet, man.
Oh, I hope not.
So, yeah, that's...
God bless the 90s, right?
The Eradicator.
All that grunge art.
Yeah. So, what else? Torch your
there's
cookies.
there's the big elephant in the room that everyone likes to poke fun at in this
Well,
movie.
yeah, I don't. I mean, we could probably cover 30 minutes on Martha.
Probably.
So here's the deal: is that this whole movie gets
Shit on
because of one word,
Martha.
right? And I'm not going to. We've already compared it to Captain America with the use of Sarah and Bucky and all that shit. So here's the deal. This movie opens with a very traditional Batman origin scene that we've seen 1,000 times in every Batman movie that we've ever watched, or Batman franchise that we've ever watched. It's Thomas and Martha leaving the theater with Bruce and Joe Cool, or whoever this is in this iteration of this film, coming up and killing Thomas and Martha. But the thing about this version is that while Martha is dying, Thomas looks at her and says Martha in a very muted, very whispered kind of Martha.
Like, because he's dying. He got
dying.
shot.
Yeah. This exact fucking scene is described in the fight between armored Bruce Wayne, and Superman, after he has tied the rope around Superman's ankle and he is fucking dragging him to that big open room before he starts spinning him. And he said, my parents died, you're not a man. A man is brave. And
he's like, I'm sure your parents taught you that you were important, that you were going to mean something.
Yeah.
He goes, you know what my parents taught me? It's like, this world doesn't make sense, or this world's cruel as they died for nothing in an alley, or...
Yeah, this world doesn't make sense unless you force it to make sense. Or force it to. And, they died for nothing in an alley. And you are immediately... There's another scene before we get to this fight where it's another nightmare type scene. It's not, forced by Barry Allen or... whatever kind of a vision of the future, but this is more of a vision of, I think, the motivation behind Bruce Wayne becoming Batman. And it's when Bruce is going to the crypt, and you see Martha Wayne, and then the big jump scare where the bat the blood's coming out of the crypt.
Yeah, blood is leaking out
and
of it.
He's like, what is this?
And then the giant bat monster comes bursting out of it and attacks him.
And I see that as